My name is Sabah Saad Ali, and I'm a mother of Iman Saad Ali and Sayyid Fauzan Ali, both of whom study here in Westlake, year 9 and year 7. The very first thing which attracted us was actually the lake and the beauty of Kampar. The location was a big plus because it was a beautiful small town, and we liked the clean atmosphere, and we wanted our kids to study in a beautiful, peaceful atmosphere in the small town of Kampar. We have been with Westlake for a very long time, and I have actually seen my kids grow with Westlake. The school has grown and my kids have grown with it as well. I see my kids more confident, more bold, they are better citizens, they appreciate others, and they enjoy the school. That's the best part of it. They love coming to school. I think that Westlake has made them into better people, not just academically, but they have nurtured them wholly. I believe that they respect others and they respect differences, and I believe that they know how to work in a team, they know how to work in a group, and they feel that Westlake is their family, and that's why they enjoy coming here every day. Here in Westlake, my kids, they have learned to explore themselves as well. Every year they have an opportunity to take part in different sports, in different games. They have different CCA clubs here, debates, different societies, so they can actually explore more, something that they will value when they grow up. And I believe that the school focuses on project-based learning, which is very good because they can learn through examples, through daily examples, through practical life, which is a good thing. Well, of course, a school cannot run on its own. It depends a lot on the teachers, on the academic, as well as the management staff, and I believe that they are very hardworking, very dedicated, and we always feel really comfortable talking to the teachers about our kids, and I believe that they give their whole, and I think they need to be applauded on the hard work. They are also educating our kids in a dynamic environment. Things are changing around us and the school is adapting, which is very good, and I believe the teachers are doing a very good job in adapting to the changing technology, and they are incorporating it in teaching our kids. We would like to encourage the management team, and we would like to appreciate the hard work that they are putting in educating our kids and bringing forward new ideas and implementing them and making it seem easy and comfortable for the kids as well.
Welcome everyone to our live session entitled The Future of Education, Global Shift as a Result of COVID-19. For the first time in history, schools around the world have closed. So how does this situation affect the education of our children? I'm sure many parents have many unanswered questions during this unprecedented time. So it is with great pleasure that I've introduced to you two distinguished educators with vast experience in this topic of conversation. First, let me introduce to you Ms. Yasmin Sawa. Ms. Yasmin Sawa is the Chief Education Officer at Oxford International College. She has founded one of the UK #1 ranked school for A-levels results since 2010. She has also won multiple awards as the Science Tutor of the Year, Welsh Woman of the Year, as well as Class Noble Educator of Distinction. She has been on interview panels in the 2 top UK medical schools and has been a TEDx speaker as well. She has helped numerous students to enter top universities such as Oxford, Cambridge, London School of Economics, and Imperial College London, as well as to many medical schools around. She has the distinguished record of getting 100% of her students to receive offers to Russell Group universities around UK. Next we have is Ms. Anushia. Ms. Anushia is our very own academic director of Westlake International School. She has been the head of department in St. Margaret Secondary Schools in Singapore, regional education consultant at Scholastic Asia, academic director at Kingsley International School, head of secondary in Kenley International School, and is a Cambridge International trainer for English as the first language. Welcome, Ms. Anushia and Ms. Yasmin.
Hi, Ruben.
Hi.
Thank you, Ruben.
Hi. Now, so without further ado, I would like to address some questions that we have sent out an interview questionnaire to many of our listeners and those people who are in our groups, and they have come up with certain questions. So I'd like to address the first question to Miss Anusha first. So Miss Anusha, can you tell us about how WIS has approached in terms of dealing with the disruption to schools because of COVID-19?
Thank you, Ruben. I'd like to welcome everyone today to this event. Thank you to Yasmin and the OIC team for joining us so early in the morning from the UK. I believe it's 8 a.m. over there. And to all our viewers out there, thank you for joining us on this Friday afternoon in Malaysia, in KL. I'd like to share a little bit about Westlake to start with. In the context of your question, Ruben, that there has been a lot of disruption that schools around the world have faced, and how Westlake has dealt with that. Now, Westlake is a boarding school. We are located in Kampar, Malaysia. This is our 8th year, so we've been around for some time. We are not new to this. And WIS's approach to education is to pursue excellence. We believe that all our students need to experience the best in terms of boarding, education, sports, and talent. And our motto is really to transform minds and change lives in the pursuit of excellence. And I think this is very important when we consider and think about what has happened in education in the last 2 months, not just in Malaysia, but all over the world, because you need to have front and center what your goal is, what your motivation is. And for the context of today's conversation, I'm just going to talk about the education aspect of how we deliver education at Westlake. Now, to talk about excellence, we are a school that pursues excellence. We have seen consistent, outstanding performance in our high-stake examinations. Last year, 2019, our students delivered 66% A-star A's. And as you can see on the slide, these were the subjects where we saw very high returns in terms of A-star A's. So we had mathematics with 84%, chemistry at 86%, physics at 66%. So we are a school that consistently believes in performing in high-stakes examinations, and our team delivers. These were some of our top students last year, 2019. And as you can see, these are your average Malaysian students who we will see in most schools in Malaysia. And we are very proud of the fact that they delivered, and a lot of these students are here now today with us doing A-levels, but they are also well-rounded students. I can attest to that. We also offer A-levels at Westlake. Granted, compared to the delivery at OIC and the track record that Yasmin and her team has, they stand above us. But we are a competitive school when it comes to our A-level achievement as well. Generally 100% A to C across the board for A-levels. Now, that's very important when you consider how we have approached and dealt with and coped with the disruptions brought about to education with COVID-19. As a school, you'll be able to see that we stand on par generally with a lot of, shall we say, named schools in the Klang Valley. I tell this story quite funnily. Sometime last year, I was having a conversation with a friend, and we started talking about Westlake, and his comment was, "You are the best kept secret in Malaysia." We are actually a boarding school. We are a boutique boarding school. Currently, we've got 550 students with us. And, at full capacity, we will take about 720 to 750 students. So we are not a school that is so huge that our students get lost. We know who they are. We know their personalities, we know their abilities, and that has actually allowed us to deliver. That has actually allowed us to be able to engage with them and produce results that are competitive and comparable. So let's talk a little bit about our delivery. We'll get a bit of a, saying here at Westlake, and it's called WIS Got This. And WIS Got This is our structured and scaffolded approach to delivering results. And here we are talking primarily about academic results. Obviously, quality teaching and learning is center of everything that we do, and we have a great team of Asian, Malaysian teachers that power our institution. We have got a very strong STEM focus. We provide high value subjects. We are one of the few schools that actually offer for IGCSEs, the paper 5 practical component for the examinations, because we believe that's important when our students transition on to do their A-levels. We also understand that critical thinking is very important, so we've introduced global perspectives from primary all the way through to year 9. So students build the skills of analysis, research, presentation, and then we've got our assessment, monitoring, and feedback program. So something that we're very proud of is our pair program that we run with our year 11 students leading into the IGCSEs. Now, this is crucial because you need to have a very strong base and you need to have a very clear understanding of what you're trying to achieve before you can actually deal with disruptions that come. So we talk about the disruption, COVID-19. WIS was very lucky, but I don't think luck has got much to do with it. I think it comes with a lot of planning, a lot of strategy, and the fact that we had a very strong approach to start with, structured, scaffolded. We had technology in the classroom. When we had to close school, we could quite smoothly and confidently move online to deliver our curriculum. And our main focus these last 2 months now has been to ensure learning continuity. So, we've had online school running. We use G Suite for education, but it's not just about using the apps and the tools. It's also how we deliver. We run live lessons on a full timetable. Students, and this is from primary all the way through to year 12 and year 13. School starts at 8 o'clock. We go all the way to about 1:30. For the older students, year 10, year 11, that goes to about 2:33. We do online assembly every Monday, so everyone logs in. There's a live stream of assembly. We say the school pledge. We make announcements. We also understand that during this time, balance is very important for our students. So we launched our virtual CCAs. So we put up a choice of CCAs, activities that students can do at home. They take a picture, they post it, and as you can see on the screen, they actually get house points. So this has actually become very competitive. Our schools for sports houses have actually set up their own little Google classrooms to plot and plan how they're going to get ahead of each other. So this is an important part of learning online, going virtual. It's not just about delivering the academic content, but it's about providing students a sense of connection to the school, the environment that they are in. We have also been we've been able to very successfully deploy assessments. So we've actually been able to transition to maintain the rigor, especially for our exam years, and we're consistently checking and monitoring assessments online. And we understand that these are unusual times. And a lot of our students are not used to being at home full-time, 24/7 with their parents, not go out, not play basketball, not, go running, not play tennis and badminton. So, we do our best to support our students. Our school counselor has also, gone online. She's got a private counseling room. Students can actually book sessions with her, talk to her one-on-one, and, meet with her. So I think what I'd like to share with everyone today is this. In this time of disruption, it's not just about going online, it's not just about learning online, but it's thinking about providing students with the most authentic learning experience that they can have. So ensuring learning continuity, it's not just about the academic content, it's not just about learning content and memorizing content and doing assessments, but how can you provide your students and keep them connected with school? And that can only happen if you've got a good plan in place to start with. Your school has to be a very strong school, and we were very lucky that we've got very strong structures in place that to transition online, we were able to do it relatively seamlessly. So, Ruben, I hope that helps to explain how we've actually been able to, transition online and do what we need to do.
Well, thank you, Anushia. That was a very comprehensive answer. Next, we'd like to welcome Yasmin again. Thank you for your time to come here and join us. So I have a question for you here, which is, with the experience and track record of OIC, what is your analysis of the requirements for university admission with the suspension of the A-levels examination?
Right. Thank you, Ruben, and thank you, Anushia, as well, for inviting me to this session this morning. Morning in the UK. In Malaysia. I think what you've just touched upon in terms of what actually defines a successful school, or what actually defines education, is what at OIC what we believe are the three integral aspects, and they are the academic excellence, the career development, and personal development. Now, all three are really crucial in terms of driving not only getting into sort of top universities or getting excellent results, but also nurturing that curiosity, making sure that our students have the potential to think outside the box, but also think within the culture and ethics that's currently, what we're facing. So I think that's really important to understand that there are a lot of aspects of education, and that in essence, one needs to understand that the education has actually been driven since the Industrial Revolution, and the way that we teach still seems to be very much on par with that. Even though we have innovated education, we haven't quite evolved education compared to other industries. When you look at technology, when you look at the scientific field, when you look at medicine, when you look at economy, there's a lot of evolution within those industries. Education, unfortunately, has had a lot of innovation, which is fantastic, but we haven't quite evolved it to a different way of learning and teaching. And I'll touch about that later on, but just a quick introduction with about Oxford International College. We are ranked top in the UK in terms of A-level results. We came top in terms of, if you look at the Daily Telegraph and the Times, we achieved 92% A-star to A grades last year. Had the COVID-19 not impacted the exams being taken this year, we were predicting around 95% A-star to A grade. So that would have put us top in the league table again. So that's in terms of our sort of academic excellence. In terms of our university admissions, in 2019, we had 75% of students who obtained A-star AA or better in their A-level examinations. We had 100% success rate into medical school. 60% of the cohort had progressed to Cambridge, Imperial, LSE, and UCL. 25% success rate into Cambridge, and 100% success rate to Russell Group universities. Overall, our G5 university success rate, so G5 are the top 5 universities in the UK: Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, London School of Economics, and University College London. We had 45.1% overall G5 university success rate, 50% to Oxford, 32.1% to Oxbridge. UCL success rate, we had non-medicine is 85.2%, for medicine is 24%, Imperial success rate, non-medicine 54.5%, medicine 14%, and LSE, London School of Economics, success rate 62.5%. Now, it's really important to contextualize that there is a reason why I'm talking about the university destination, and I'm also mentioning courses as well. It's because if you look at the various, there's a lot of courses now around at university. Students have ample of choice, but it's really crucial to look at success rate, in particular for overseas students, for Malaysian students who are looking to apply to top universities worldwide. As an overseas, as an international student, the competition depends on the courses, but also depends on the university that you're applying to. So courses such as medicine, engineering, law, economics, the competition rate is actually it's only less than 10% chance, basically, compared to some other courses which would have around 40-50% acceptance rate. So it's really crucial to look at the course strategy. So whenever parents would ask me what are the elements that we should look at when you're selecting a school or a college, besides obviously making sure that the college fits your child and they'll be happy there, it's really crucial when you're looking at headlines, when you're looking at stats, not to just look at sort of the overall stats, but actually to break it down and see the courses that students are applying to and the acceptance rate for those courses. So for example, theology is 50%, 40 to 50% acceptance rate at somewhere like Cambridge or Oxford. But majority of international students don't tend to apply for those courses. They tend to apply for very competitive courses. And as we move forward with the next few years of application cycle, it's going to be, as they call it in the economics world, it's going to be the buyer's market. So people are going to want to, students and parents and families would want to go to the very best institution. And therefore, all these years of lots of choices of courses may restrict in the future, because people might want to look at what's not in terms of just job force, but also in terms of careers, in terms of the right careers as they embrace the future. So I think that's really crucial to understand. How do you look at the stats? The other thing just to share with you, I'm sure you can see on the presentation, our students' highlights, and you can see this some of the profiles of our students. You've got Lenny with God knows how many A stars he has achieved there, 6 A stars. And then you've got Karen, Angela, Avinash, Kyra, Shazril. In fact, 3 of the students from there are actually from Surrey KL, which is brilliant. I just wanted to share that. And if you look at all 3, if you look at those students in the list, on the honors list, we've got 2 honors lists there, the 2019 and 2018 honors list. In fact, if I share with you some stories around that, so if you look at Karen and you look at Shazril, we're actually missing one more student on that list, and his name is Jimmy. All 3 students had offers from Cambridge University to study engineering. And sorry, I think there's an error there. Shazril engineering, Karen engineering, and another young man called Jimmy also for engineering. And all 3 of them had offers for Cambridge engineering. Now, Jimmy had 3 A stars in his A levels. Shazril had 4 A stars, and Karen had 5 A stars, as you can see on the slide. And all 3 of them came from different academic backgrounds. So Karen had 10 A stars in her GCSEs, Shazril had 8 A stars, and Jimmy had, I think if I'm not mistaken, around 5 or 6 A stars in his GCSEs. Now, all of them are different profile, different academic profile. They all ended up with different number of A stars in their A-level grades, but they all got into Cambridge for engineering. So I think what I'm trying to say here is that there's no typical formula. So you shouldn't feel that, so students shouldn't feel that because whatever they've achieved in their GCSEs or IGCSEs, that they couldn't pursue getting into top universities. I think it's really important to ensure that you don't just look at what's in the past. Your past does not define you. So whatever you've achieved. So those of you who are in year 12, if you've already got your GCSE results and you're looking to apply to top universities, that shouldn't stop you, because there are other strategies that can employ there. We've had so many stories of students who, they defy the odds, the statistical norms of what is a typical profile of a student who can get into a top university. We've had students who, when they first arrived, I had a boy whose educational academic sort of system was very different, and therefore he had to get used to a new system. And he was, when he first arrived, he was getting D's and E's. And in fact, there was another challenge because he wanted to go to a top university. He ended up getting A stars, to cut a long story short, and he ended up going to Imperial to study engineering. And there's countless and countless of experiences that I've had where students have defied the statistical norm of what is a typical top student would look like. So it's really important, therefore, to understand that you need to obviously excel academically, and academic excellence is important, but is a byproduct of your passion. It is not the key thing that you should strive for. So your passion determines basically what is very important for parents and teachers and students to understand that you've got to, first of all, develop that passion. And every opportunity at OIC, for example, that's our first sort of goal, is to ensure that the students discover their passion. Now, they may start off saying, I want to do medicine, and then they change their mind to engineering. Karen, when she first started, she wanted to do medicine and she changed to engineering. She got into Cambridge engineering. So the point is that once you discovered your passion, that's the first thing. The second thing then is to find the evidence to trigger that passion, or to back that passion. So those evidences are basically the building blocks. It's what we call as combination of super curricular and strong academic as well. So the evidence is basically, one of the evidence is academic. So the academic is a byproduct of the passion. So the first thing is the passion. Second thing is the triggering or backing the evidence for the passion. And the third is the strategy. So because if you're not strategical, then you could fall into where your past, sort of affects your application. So it's really important to be strategical, because everyone is different. Every student is different. Every student has a different academic attainment. They have different attitudes and passion and interest. Everybody is different. So it's really important to keep it very, very strategic. So I think that's really crucial, just to understand where sort of just a little bit of intro for OIC. And in terms of your question of where does the COVID-19 how do we sort of deal with, in terms of with experience and track record of OIC, what is your analysis of the requirements for university admissions with the suspension of the A-level examination? So I have been following, I sit on panels and work very closely with top universities, not just in the UK, but also top universities worldwide. We have a system at OIC, a program which is called Global Strategic Pathway, where our students don't just apply to the UK, they apply to US, they apply to Australia, to Hong Kong universities, Singapore, Ireland. So we have students applying globally to top universities worldwide. So I've been following and been involved in the consultation process, as well as being on the panels as well. So I think I can sum it up with 2 points. First of all, in the next 2 years of university admissions, obviously there are 3-year groups that are being impacted: the year 13, year 12, and year 11. For year 13 students, it's very clear there's a lot of emphasis to ensure that they are able to move on with their universities and being able to meet the criteria and get on. Obviously, we have a system now called the calculated grades. There's also opportunities for students to take the deferred exam. If you're in the UK, if you are in Malaysia and you have the option of taking the exams in November, then that's one aspect. So there is the calculated grades. There's opportunity to take the deferred exams, and universities and exam boards are working very hard to ensure that the year 13 students ensure that they, they'll be able to move on. However, I think although there's a lot of emphasis for year 13 students, there seems to be not enough emphasis for year 11 and year 12 students. So it's really important to understand that they too will have an impact in terms of their university application. In particular, because universities are potentially predicting three things. Number one, they're likely to see, they're assuming, the assumption is that students who achieve the calculated grades, there could be an inflation of grades, and therefore potentially at the very top universities, they may see students who are going into year one university may have to repeat the year. So that means, therefore, that there may not be enough seats or places that these top universities will be able to offer when year 12 students are to apply or year 11 students are to apply. Now, for the year 12 students, the impact I see is more immediate, because because what the universities would want to hope is that the students were to complete their A-level results and then apply with a gap year, because there may be reduction in the number of offers that's being made due to the year 13, perhaps having to repeat the year or so on. Now for the year 11 students, when they apply to university, again, their GCSE grades will be based on calculated results. Again, there could be an increase in grade inflation. So universities will have to rely on other information, for example, on admission test or university interviews. So they may have to rely on those two elements, but also they probably would be expecting students to, again, complete their A-levels and take a gap year and apply with achieved A-level results rather than calculated GCSE grades. So those are the things that or assumptions are being made by universities. And I actually think that competition is going to rise a lot for the G5 or the very top universities around the world, and for very competitive courses. I mean, Cambridge already saw 12%, Oxbridge already saw around 12% increase last year. And I think this could escalate to even more. However, regardless of the competition, I think it makes no difference in terms of individual strategy. So it's really important to still keep track on that.
Okay.
Thanks, Yasmin.
Yep, thanks, Yasmin. Yeah, that's very interesting and insightful thoughts like this. Ms. Anushia, can I continue with you and just ask the question? With the increase in competition here, as what Ms. Yasmin was alluding to, shift in the industry. So, what are we plans to support our students in this area?
Okay, thanks, Ruben. That's something that's really useful to think about. And actually, what I'd like to do right now is I would like to talk a little bit about this. I think the approach that this has taken, and Yasmin has very clearly indicated, we are talking about increased competition. We're looking at students who are going to be, potentially having to repeat their first year. Things are going to be different in the next 2 or 3 years. So I think Wiz's approach to this is two-pronged, and we call it the two Ps, partnership and programs, okay? So I want to talk about it from the context of partnership and programs. To start with, I also want to, outline a little bit about our collaboration, Westlake's collaboration with OIC, and how it ties into how we will prepare our students. I remember, hearing about Yasmin, I think 2016, 2017. And Yasmin, I think you remember we were introduced, and Yasmin came to visit the Westlake campus sometime around April 2018. Yasmin, I'm sorry, I couldn't find a picture of that visit. And then in October 2018, the Westlake team, the senior leadership team, actually visited OIC in the UK. And we really got an insight into how they do things. And in multiple conversations that I've had with Yasmin, she always says this: you have them for 5 years. I have them for 2 years, and I've got to make sure that they are ready to get into university. So I think that is our approach. We looked at it as from the perspective that we have these 5 years, especially in secondary school. And as Yasmin said earlier, we need to help our students figure things out, find their passion, develop skills that reflect who they truly are. And when you talk about pursuing excellence, it's not just about that string of A stars, but it's also personal qualities like grit. It's, the ability to endure, the ability to deal with failure and bounce back. So we start by talking about partnership. I think that was one of the key things that, our collaboration with OIC has at least taught me as a school leader. And it was, understanding the values that they espouse, and we as a school saw that we could share these values with them. And our aim is to prepare our students to get into the top places, whether it's through OIC or some other means. So, in October 2018, we visited the UK, and it was a wonderful visit that led to our first collaboration in 2019, April last year, where we ran an IGCSE Easter revision workshop. We had two tutors, Zoe and Jonathan, come down, and that was just an amazing experience, both for our students at Westlake and generally the students who attended. We had about 35 participants. When Yasmin returned with her students in July, they actually paid us a visit, and they did a one-day STEM project with our students as well. And through this collaboration, one of the things that Yasmin opened up to us was the opportunity for our students to apply for the Global Space Design Challenge at Imperial College in London. And in August 2019, I had two of our boys apply, and one of them actually attended, and it was an amazing experience. And moving forward, in January this year, the online academy for preparing A-level students for the university admission test, that's something that we launched. We also started working on the Easter revision workshop this year, but that had to get suspended because no one can travel. So, I think, to answer your question, Ruben, the first part is always in terms of preparing our students for a very uncertain future, the changing landscape of education. Partnerships are going to be crucial. We cannot do this on our own. We are not lone rangers in this. And what we see is that we have our students here for 5 crucial years. So in terms of programs, then what can we do to get them ready? So if I use Yasmin's analogy, what kind of raw material are we going to develop? What kind of raw material are we going to produce that when they take that next step at A levels, are they ready to be polished to get into top universities? So you see our academic program. We've also divided it into an extracurricular program. We've got enrichment and an idea that we borrowed from Yasmin and OIC, which is a super curricular program, but nothing as amazing as what they do over there. And this is something that we do for our year 7s to our year 11 students. Primarily, the focus is to get them on that pathway where they can excel in whatever area that they are passionate about, whatever area that they see that they can contribute to the world. And, Yasmin tells stories, and this is one thing I've learned from her. When one of our students was applying for university this year, I was reading his personal statement, and this is Hugo. He's a basketball player, but he's interested in doing material science, and he was interested in doing chemistry at Bruneghan and Glasgow. And, reading his personal statement, he made a connection with how, playing basketball, he used to go out shopping for shoes, and he used to look at the technology behind what Adidas was producing and Nike, and how he would use these shoes on the basketball court and play and compare their performance. And that he could make the connection between the science and technology and what he was studying in the classroom. And that led to him doing a research project for the Cambridge Science Competition. So, as a school, that's what we believe. We need to help our students connect the dots so that when they take that next step, they are ready to fly. And as part of that, we've got our High Achievers program, which we launched this year. And an integral part of our High Achievers program is actually our career and character education program, which comprises character education. So we do the 7 habits of highly effective students. We do a lot of work in terms of personal social development as a Duke of Edinburgh Award Award Center. We are also very lucky because of our location. We are on the doorstep to Utah and University Technology Petronas. So our year 10, 11, 12 students, they actually have opportunities. So we've built a network and partnership with these two universities, and our students actually get to go in to these universities, look at their research labs, get mentored, do a little bit of a work experience, understand how a research lab, research organization works. So we're very lucky in that sense. We work with Smart Nations Asia, which is out of Singapore as well. So programs are very important, and we've got a solid program and program structures in place in terms of our high achiever program, our career and character education program. But programs cannot run on their own. Programs are also linked to partnerships. So I think as a school, we have done a lot of work in terms of building our partners, and we are providing our students this platform. Like I said, I keep going, those, in all the conversations I've had, those words that Yasmin always, she talks about it, and it's always, I've gone back and I've reflected on it and rings in my head. We have these students for 5 years, very crucial years. We need to make sure we get them ready. So in that last step before university, they are able to pick up, take off, and fly. We produce students who are ready in that sense. So if you ask me what is our strategy to prepare our students, this would be it. It boils down to partners and programs.
All right, thank you, Miss Anusha. I know Hugo as well, and I can see he has really engaged. He's a real good student. So I'd like to come back to Miss Yasmin and just to ask a question that I think is the crux of our talk today, and that is, given the worldwide disruptions to education by COVID-19, what do parents and students really need to do to be prepared over the next few years? And what do you see are the fundamentals that are unchanged, and what are the shifts that we need to do to be prepared for it?
Thank you, Ruben. Because I'm an educational strategist, I'm a teacher. I teach. My field is chemistry and biology, but I also consider myself as an educational strategist. And what that means is ensuring that students have both an academic and a career plan that is in parallel, so that they can achieve the outcomes that they've set to. So I think what's important, before I answer that question, what's important is to just understand first how universities assess applications, and then we can look at the strategies and what parents need to do. So I think perhaps we can phrase it in that way. So the first thing at OIC is that we Anushia put it really well. We have students we do 1 year GCSEs and 2 years A levels. So students come to us at the very end of their high school journey. But what they do from primary to high school is actually really crucial, because that is the learning, that is the development stage. By the time they come to us either for 1 year GCSEs or 2 years A level, they are what we call at a stage where we need to start to reform their processes, as well as look at strategic planning and ensuring that the academic and the career plans are in parallel, not one or the other, but in parallel, because a lot of schools keep the career development as a separate aspect, and it's great that both at Westlake and OIC that we are focusing on those two elements as being crucial and integral to the whole curriculum. So that's something to remember that. Now, in terms of what do you need to enter a top university, so let's look at what happens in a normal year, and then let's look at what's going to happen only the COVID-19 sort of the next 2 years impact. So I think you could see the presentations. So the first of all, how universities will assess your application. What's really important is when you apply to university, the first thing they would look at will be your GCSEs or your IGCSEs or equivalent. So that could be SPM. And then when you go through the A-level motions, it's the AS results. So if you've taken AS in the UK, not every school takes AS exams. So if you've taken AS exams, you can put that down in your university application. And then there's the predicted A-level results and also the personal statement. So there are 5 different. So when you apply to university, at the time when you submit your application, there are 5 things. You have your GCSEs or IGCSEs or equivalent. You have your AS results, you have your predicted A-level results, you have your personal statement and your teacher's reference. So what you put that down on what you put on your UCAS application at that point will define whether you get to the next stage. And whatever I'm saying here only applies to the top universities, G5 universities, Russell Group universities, medical schools, or top universities worldwide. Because obviously there's nuances in each university application. There will be always different aspects of the application. So for example, if for the US application, they will require essays. There's a lot of different small nuances, but overall, the most important crux are the GCSEs, IGCSEs or equivalent, your predicted A-levels, your AS results, and your personal statement and your teacher's reference. And then if you look at the next bit, the next 2 things, which is really crucial, are admission test and interview. So a lot of these top universities, not just in the UK, but worldwide as well, require admission test and also require interview. So if we look at the slide, which gives you the timeline. So imagine if you're starting A-levels in this September. Let's use that as an example. And what will happen is you will take your AS exams in June. You would then receive your AS results in August. You would start your A2 year 13 in September. You would apply to university in October. You will take admission test in November. You will go for your interview in December onwards. January to March, you will receive decisions. June, you will take A-level. You will take your A-level exams. August, you receive your results, and October, you start university. Obviously, this timeline will be different if you were to take A-levels, the international A-levels, and if you're staying in Malaysia, and you would take exams in November. So the timeline is slightly different. However, in terms of university application, it's exactly the same. If you're applying for the early deadline, which will be October, you would then, after October, you'll be called for an interview for your admission test, or you have to take your admission test by November, and you go for your interview in December. Some admission tests are before then, but majority of the admission tests are in November. So students could get rejected after October, they could get rejected after November, or they could get rejected after December, or they could go through each stage and move on. So it's really important, again, to be strategical. So that this is why a student, I mean, I had a student from Sabah once who only had 3A+ or 4A+ in his SPM, and that's not a typical Oxbridge student or a typical G5 or competitive course student, yet he got into Cambridge for engineering. So again, your GCSE or SPM results is important, but it doesn't define your next steps. So it's really crucial. So even if you have straight A stars in your GCSEs, you still have to do well in your admission test and your interview. So again, it's all about being strategic here. So the critical path to success, if you look at the next slide, because I'm a chemist and I love formulas. So the way the formulaic method around getting into these top university is: number 1, admission test; number 2, interview, equal weighting around that. So admission test and interview. Number 3, pre-offer matrix. So pre-offer matrix consists of the things that you would put in your UCAS application or any of your application forms. So 1 + 2 + 3 gets you the offer. 1 + 2 + 3+4, which is your A-level results, gets you into university, because offers are conditional upon your A-level results. Now, some universities around the world, top universities, would wait until you achieve your A-level results and then look at whether to make you an offer, but they may have done their interviews beforehand. So again, the admission test, the interview, and the academic results all go hand in hand, but as you can see, the academic results actually are the end of the cycle. So which means that academic results is one aspect of your application. It is not your whole aspect of your application. Now, where does that fit in with extracurricular and so on? Extracurricular defines you as a person. It gives you a personality. It doesn't mean necessarily that some of these universities will weight extracurricular. Again, different countries have different concept on that. So, for example, for the US, they would highly value extracurricular, but they also value supercurricular, because supercurricular is defining your passion and finding that building blocks to evidence your passion. So again, I think just going back to what Anushia was saying, that supercurricular element is so important. And I repeat that 3 pillars of success of an integrated curriculum is what we do at OIC: the academic excellence, the career development, and personal development. If I would say what is the most important pillar, I mean, in fact, all 3 pillars are crucial. If I were to give a little bit more percentage to any of those pillars, I would say for our students who come to us at the age and the stage that they come at, I would say the career development is the most important aspect. And then the 2 other pillars will just slightly, it's a very slight angle, a very small difference within that angle. So just to sort of define that. So again, I'm still sticking on the point of what happens pre-COVID, and then I'll talk about post-COVID. So pre-COVID at OIC, again, as I defined, academic excellence is really crucial. We spend more hours per week per subject compared to other institutions. Post-COVID, we're actually going to increase that to sort of from 6 hours a week to 8 to 9 hours per week per subject. And the reason why we are increasing the number of hours of contact time is because, in addition to the element of their supercurricular and the academics and things, there's also an element for students to take a deferred exam, regardless of what they had in their calculated grades. So that would perhaps, again, from a strategy point of view, it would help. So I think, Anushia, you mentioned before about, in Malaysia, you do have a November entry, although the November entry is after the October, when students would apply to the early deadline. It's still important if they're able to demonstrate the results as either equal or better than the calculated grades. That would be a good strategy to have. That's what we are telling our students, our year 11 and year 12 students. And for that reason, we are increasing contact time. So we already do, so pre-COVID, we were already doing more than other institutions. Post-COVID, we're going to increase more of that. And the career preparation at OIC in a pre-COVID situation, as you can see on the slide, there's a whole aspect of all the building blocks for the career development. So there are things like mentoring. So students they have mentors who come from Oxford University or Cambridge or other universities to prepare them for their career, and that is in terms of their admission tests, in terms of their interview preparation. There's also a huge effort going into in terms of things like the supercurricular elements, the wider reading, but also reflection upon wider reading. A lot of kids can do things to describe and explain, but they're quite weak when it comes to reflection. So reflection is key. That's really important. There's also elements of work placements. Now, pre-COVID, obviously, work placements was something that was crucial part of supercurricular. Moving forward, though, it's going to be what we call as remote work experience, virtual work experiences, and that is something OIC has put together for our students. to look at what else can they do in terms of building onto their supercurricular elements. So these kind of elements, so Oxbridge mentorship, bridging courses, projects, competitions, wider reading, all these things, access to lectures, all these things, when you put into building blocks, they're all single blocks, but when it comes together, it all fits into a puzzle. So I think that's very crucial. The next aspect is personal development. Again, pre-COVID, personal development could mean two things. One is extracurricular activities, which is sports, music, and arts, and so on. But also then there's also things like supercurricular elements of personal development. So, for example, problem solving, critical thinking. So things like philosophy classes, computational thinking, all those things that can build that thinking skills. That's really crucial if you want to do well in your admission test, and if you want to do well in your interview. So those elements post-COVID, although restricted in the extracurricular elements, they are things that you could still boost in terms of your supercurricular personal development aspects. Again, that would help with the university application as well. Now, if we can go on the slide where it says the curriculum timeline, just to answer Ruben's question in terms of what is the difference now post-COVID, the curriculum, basically what we are advising students to do, if you look at the slide in curriculum timeline, normal AS year, and you then move on to the next slide, which tells you the curriculum timeline in a COVID year, which is where you see the red bit. So the red bit basically gives you the addition that students in the COVID year are moving forward. Now, when I say COVID year, what I'm talking about here is not necessarily just when we're going to go back to normal, because regardless of the fact of when we go back to the normal, there is going to be an impact for year 11 and year 12 students, and therefore there needs to be a strategy for year 11 and year 12 students. Year 13 students, I believe, are very well looked after by all aspects of, in terms of the exam boards, the universities, and so on. But year 11 and year 12 students do need more of that strategy. So that I would say would be, if you're looking at the curriculum timeline for the AS year, that would be for a year 11 student moving on to year 12. And then if you look at the next slide, what happens in the normal A2 year, so this will be for year 12 students going into year 13 students. This is, by the way, curriculum that we deal with at OIC, and this is our career curriculum, a career development curriculum. And you could see that in a normal A2 year. Now, if you look at the next slide, which tells you 2020, 2021 A2 year, and you can see the red bits. Now, so those are the addition to what would be in a normal curriculum. What would be additions to the normal curriculum. So it's really important that you need to look at the pre-COVID, and then you need to look at post-COVID in terms of direct impact and direct strategy for year 11 and year 12 students. So hopefully that's given some context. But finally, in terms of the future, in terms of the COVID-19 and the future that it holds, I would say there are three things that education needs to evolve, and that's the area that OIC and with partners such as Westlake, we are definitely moving towards. First of all, teaching and learning has to change in a way that it becomes even more individualized or personalized than ever before. So what I mean by that is that education has to evolve from a chalk and board concept to a more personalized, and learning has to be more impactful, and teaching has to be effective. And for that, things like active recall, spaced repetition, growth mindset are going to be key concepts when it comes to evolving, not just innovating, but evolving teaching. I think that's very crucial. That's number one. Number two, there has to also be a need in terms of developing students' passion and not just going to school for the sake of going to school. I think that's really important in terms of their own sort of in terms of embracing the new future. And number three, we will have to really look at in terms of joining the dots, not just at the end in terms of secondary education, but also joining the dots from primary to secondary. So I think working with schools like Westlake is fantastic because we can actually imprint some of our sort of principles and philosophies from the younger years growing up. In particular, if they are, if we want to go through an inspirational learning or aspirational learning rather than just going to school for the sake of going to school. So I think there are three things moving forward, how education needs to evolve.
So, Yasmin, I heard that you have some good news an announcement to make today with regards to our partnership with OIC and WIS. I thought maybe I'll take this time as we reach the hour mark for you if you'd like to make that announcement.
Yes. So I'm really pleased to sort of to announce that we are basically setting up an award at Westlake, where I think Westlake will define some of the criteria for their students. But in essence, we're basically offering a scholarship to some of the best students at Westlake School. So I think the journey with Westlake is that we really want to help to build a environment or climate that could be built in from a younger age, so that we can help the students throughout that process. So before they come to us, they've already imprinted those elements and those sort of crucial sort of developmental plans for the students. So it's really great to be able to work with Westlake on this and to be able to announce award for the best student. I believe the award is called OIC Westlake Top Scholar Award. So we're very excited to be able to be part of this.
Thank you very much, Yasmin. It is, we are very excited, and I'm quite sure our existing year 10 and year 11 students, so I'm directing it to my existing kids, will also be very excited about that, to hear that. So thank you very much.
And I think what's great about this is although the award is for the top students. What I think I just wanted to say that our partnership is basically going to help students from a wider group of students to work on those crucial development plans, and the award is basically sort of it's something that, although it defines for the top student, it actually gives a much wider sort of platform for all your students. And I think that's I think it's important to understand the award is something for students to work towards, but it's certainly going to benefit the whole school.
Oh, yeah, thank you. This is indeed very good news for our students. It is a very prestigious and very generous award, I might add. So thank you very much on behalf of Westlake for this scholarship that you are providing to our students as well. And with that, I would like to thank Miss Yasmin again and the OIC team for joining us. I know it's early on a Friday morning for you, and I hear it's also a public holiday. So
yes, today is a bank holiday, but so it's fine. I love doing this.
Yeah, we really appreciate your time and your team's time as well. Also, thank you to Miss Anushia and the Westlake team for hosting this event. And I would like to thank every one of you who have been with us throughout this hour in terms of participating and asking the questions as well. So thank you very much.
Welcome to Westlake International School, where we experience the best in educational excellence, boarding, education, sports, and talents.
The boarding program at Westlake International School provides students a safe and nurturing environment and community within our beautiful campus.
Our full-time boarding parents serve as a mentor, providing the care, support and supervision that we need to help build good habits. We learn to make wise choices and forge lifelong friendships.
We also receive academic coaching from our teachers. Life as a boarding student truly transforms us to be independent and disciplined.
We experience a holistic education at Westlake through active learning. We enjoy learning about the world around us and how to be a better person.
Westlake International School helps us plan for our future through its career and character education program. At Year 10, we embarked on the Duke of Edinburgh program that equips us for university life and beyond.
With a strong emphasis on STEM, Westlake International School gives us the platform to compete at the global level through the Cambridge Science Competition.
We also enjoy learning coding, 3D animation and robotics.
We aspire to excel at IGCSE and A-level in the footsteps of those who graduated before us, winning the IGCSE Top in the World Awards and studying at the prestigious universities in the UK, Singapore and Australia.
Nothing beats doing sports under the blue sky with majestic mountains as a backdrop. Starting the week with sports really makes school exciting for us. Not only is this fun, but it also helps build our confidence, perseverance, and teamwork skills.
We have amazing sports facilities where friends of different age groups participate in a variety of sports and engage in over 20 different activities.
Besides sports, we are also encouraged to discover our hidden talents through a variety of co-curriculum activities and competitions.
From performing in the WOW, Wind Orchestra, Westlake, presenting at the Gavel Club and participating in different camps, we are really fortunate to have so many opportunities to showcase our talents.
Boarding, education, sports and talents make up the best experience. We are thankful to Westlake where we are transformed to be the best version of ourselves.
So, come and sign up for our best trials to experience the best at Westlake International School.